Before we get started, this video is the first of 3 or 4 fall projects that we did last year that contribute to a bigger purpose. I'm going to explain more about that at the end of the video.
So, you might be wondering how I got myself into this situation. So last summer, we were taking a summer drive out to Nashville, Indiana, and as we were winding through the country roads, we saw out of the corner of our eyes this just smattering of color. And what was it? A daylily farm. We stopped.
It was my birthday.
It was my mom's birthday, so we stopped. We met the lovely owner. We bought a couple of daylilies from her. She told us she would dig them up and email us when they were ready. 10 out of 10, great experience. Loved it, posted about it on social media. We didn't have anywhere to plant the daylilies. We had just gotten into gardening. I had just gotten into gardening and didn't really have a space that I was working with quite yet, had not purchased my house. So they ended up at my grandpa's house, and yeah, that was that. Didn't think anything of it. A year has passed since then, and I've gotten much more into gardening. Fast forward to this summer, I get an email forwarded to me from my mom. What does it say? Daylily farm closing. Last year in business. Get it while you can. I mean, I had to do it. I considered trying to buy her out, but her daylily, it was so many daylilies, thousands of plants. I just couldn't have taken it over. I would have needed a tractor. It was out of scope. But I did email her and say, hey, I'd love to get between 18 and 20 varieties. I'd love to do a little planting of my own, maybe have some mass plantings of daylilies, and it snowballed from there. So we've got 22 varieties, and there's probably 15 fans of each variety. So do that math real quick. 22 times 15 is, carry the 330 daylilies that need to be planted. They gotta go in the ground, they need to establish some roots, and that is what we're working on now.
The first step in this project is to prepare our planting space. I'm using a simple edging tool, a square tip shovel, and a little bit of elbow grease to remove the sod around the boundaries.
In the end, it just slid on. Okay, so here's our hole.
What did I just say?
Let's start that over. Here's the partially prepared planting space. We only had enough compost to do half of it, which is why a portion of it is black, which has the compost, and the rest of it's brown, which is just the tilled dirt. It measures about 22 feet long by 6 feet wide, and our plan is to plant half of it tonight and come back tomorrow with more compost and repeat the process. Also, I'm thinking that we'll need more than just tilling for weed suppression, so we're planning to use cardboard and a thick layer of mulch to continue to suppress the grass in this area. So here's extensive footage of me taking far too long to lay out these daylilies, not thinking about the fact that the day is coming to a quick end. In the interest of full disclosure, I will note that we're spacing them 12 inches apart. If you also identify as a perfectionist or a Taurus, please know I deeply understand.
Today is gardening with family. We're planting lilies. Yeah! See, Kelsey is putting a massive drill on the drill. Auger.
This is about the moment when I wished I'd been a little bit more relaxed on the spacing. And through the magic of editing, it is now 2 days later. I've added more compost and finished the planting, and I've also outlined the plot with cardboard. We didn't have enough to do the entire plot, so I focused specifically on the outer edges where I thought the grass might creep in. And ta-da! Here is our final product, mulched, labeled, watered in, and getting ready for winter. Until next year.
You have arrived at the promised Q&A for more context on why we're doing these projects and what these videos are actually about. I've given myself a few little cue cards because I think there's a couple of key questions to answer here. So the first one, where are you planting these daylilies? The property that we're planting these on belonged to my grandparents. Next, why are you planting them there? So this project and the ones that are coming next are born out of the desire to do more garden projects, right? So I bought my house and I had fun starting to redo the gardens here. They're by no means done. We also then put up our seed starting setup and we got to trial that, but we don't really have enough space to grow cut flowers. And I know there's a huge movement of people that are growing cut flowers, have seen like the great documentaries and lifestyle stuff about cut flower farmers. It's just like a growing trend. And I think the business aspect of it is a little bit less appealing for me, but the project and organization and beauty aspect of it is really, really appealing. So that's all to say that basically in fall of last year, I kind of settled in on the idea that I wanted to have a cut flower garden, right? And like a big one. And that was something that I wasn't gonna be able to do in my own yard. And in order to do it and have it make sense, I needed to call it a business. So we're calling it a cut flower farm as a business. And my family graciously just said to me, hey, yeah, of course you can use that space. It's not being used. We would love for things to happen there. So yeah, that's how I got started. And the other piece of that is that since they're allowing me to work on a space that isn't necessarily mine, I also want to do projects that will help beautify it and help add in some of the structural or park-like elements that that space used to have when I was growing up that have kind of gone away as time has gone along, to make sure that it's really a space that our family still wants to come to congregate. And I feel super energized by that and just lucky to be able to work on it. So that's why we're putting them there. But daylilies aren't good cut flowers. True. So the only thing I can say about that is that we fell in love with daylilies when we saw how they were used at the Evansville, Indiana Master Gardener display. They had used them in these big drifts and we were there at the perfect time of year and they just made such an incredible impact. And I thought, oh, well, I want that not only in my space, but also in this family space where, you know, we have reunions and we have so much area to cover. Like, let's do mass plantings of daylilies. So when the opportunity came to acquire a ton of daylilies, I was like, we should do this and we should use them. But the thing is, we have a long way to go before we have the foundation in place for the beds to do mass planting of daylilies. So for right now, we're planting them in that kind of like square plot to grow them on. And then maybe down the road, there will be a point in time where we're also selling daylily roots or fans, but that's not really in like the near future plan. I think we'd want to take some time to let them multiply before we had enough stock to start selling. We do have a ton, but we don't have like near as many, like I said in the video, as the farm that we bought those daylilies from. So yeah, we're not intending to sell the daylilies as cut flowers, is a long way of saying. How many did you plant? I think I said in the video that we had somewhere around 300 individual daylilies, and this is just another example, which is something that you probably will see time and time again if I continue to make videos, that I tend to scope out projects and I'm never accurate about the timing. I mean, I think this is a thing that everybody deals with. You start a DIY project in your house, you start to paint a room, and it just takes longer than you expect. But that is one of the things that I struggle with as well, and I fully thought that we could plant 300 daylilies in one day flat without a tractor, and I was wrong. It took us 3 days to plant 90, and we were happy when we finished that. We were very pleased with ourselves. Next question is, so where are the rest? So yeah, we did have about 200 left over, maybe a little bit more, and we potted them all up into 6-inch, 4-inch or 6-inch cans. I had a ton of quick turn cans and 6-inch pots that I'd acquired over the summer from purchases or just from like Amazon. So I potted almost 200 additional daylilies up, and then I healed half of them into our cut flower garden. So they're wintering over, just getting a very natural zone 6 winter experience. And then the other half are in a structure, getting a little bit more of a protected experience, but they are all out on that property and they're all doing great. And we will eventually plant all of them somewhere. And the final question is, what's next? Well, you'll have to wait for the next video to see, but you might be able to see in the background of some shots there was landscape fabric laid out next to the daylily plot that was in preparation for our next project, so that's a hint. And yeah, you know, I think what's next, hopefully I'll be able to finish these next few videos. I have quite a lot of footage to go through, but I just also want to say, to that context, I know a lot of our friends and family have been watching these, and everyone has just been super kind with the feedback, so thank you. Like, that is great and gives me a lot of encouragement to keep trying to edit videos, though I'm no master. Yeah, so thank you. I appreciate it. And feel free to subscribe to the channel or like the video. I would appreciate that too. And I'll see you next time. Bye.